My name is Claude Blanc, and I am the publisher at the New City Press. My interlocutor is John Armstrong, the founder of The Initiative, a program engaged in missional ecumenism, and the author of many books, including Costly Love, published last year by New City Press. John, thank you for accepting to do this interview.
It's my joy.
John, you have given us a great endorsement for one of our most recent books entitled The Church, What is It? Who is It? By Chiara the foundress of the Focolare movement, and defined by the New York Times at the time of her death as one of the most influential women in the Roman Catholic Church. In this time of institutional crisis, why do you think that publishing a book about the church is relevant?
Well, we have a significant number of people that are my age, and I'll be 70 in a month, all the way down to young people who've grown up in the church, who've been ministers and priests and deacons and leaders, who have ceased to support or to attend what we would call a visible gathering of a congregation that is a church. And many of these are my friends. And when I listen to them without judging them, prejudging them, without assuming things about them, or that they're not spiritual or they're not interested, what I'm finding is astounding to me, that many of them are deeply interested. And the reasons they've given up on the church are not that they're spiritually disinterested, that they've stopped praying, that they've stopped seeking God, but they've given up on the church because they simply don't think the church is meaningful to their spiritual journey, to their growth in grace and in God. And so they don't see a connection between the life of a church that they know as a visible gathering of people around the ministry of the Word of God and the sacraments. They don't see that as relevant to their spiritual well-being. So it's imperative, I think, Claude, that we help people understand the role of the church in spiritual transformation. And I think Chiara understood the church as a Catholic. She understood it the way Catholics have traditionally understood it, but she understood it in a way that most Catholics have not traditionally understood it, and that is she understood it as a community of love, as a fellowship of people in God love that are gathered around that love and in that love of the Holy Trinity. That's good theology, but it's not theology that most people who go to church or don't go to church understand practically.
Beautiful. So you read this book written by a Catholic laywoman, and you are an evangelical minister, and you liked it.
I love
Why?
it.
Why?
Love it. I love it because Chiara not only speaks to the central question of the human heart, who is God? Who is God? And she understood fundamentally that the answer starts with the very nature of God's being, that he is love, and that Jesus is the manifestation, the gift of love, and that in the mystery of his suffering and his death, love is revealed most powerfully, and that by the Spirit we receive this gift of love through Jesus from the Father. She not only understood that, she discovered it during World War II in a crisis of seeing people around her dying and suffering. She reclaimed, as it were, in her life and that of those who were her friends, this power of transformation in the gospel that's rooted in what she called God love. And therefore, I think this book, of all the things of hers I've read, I think this book probably summarizes the core of her identity and her call to love of everything I've read.
Beautiful. Now, who do you think would benefit most from reading this book?
I think Christians who are involved in ministry and in the church and seeking to grow in the grace of God would benefit first, because though they are anchored in the teaching of the church and of Christ, often they're detached from the power of God love that transforms. And I think she opens that up in ways with expressions and words and stories and the reality of her own life in a very attractive and powerful way that I see in very few 20th century writers.
So what impact do you think such a book will have in the life of its readers?
Well, it has the potential, if a reader reads it and processes it properly and carefully, and I would say it requires a kind of contemplative reading, not just a fast reading like you read a typical book. But if it's read contemplatively and prayerfully, I think the reader will have the invitation to engage with God in his love in a way that perhaps they rarely have ever experienced from an author. This is classical spirituality, classical theology done for the life of the Christian and for the world. And it is done through the heart and the process of someone who lived it and understood it at the deepest level. And so I can't think of anything I could say more affirming of a book or an author than that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, John.
You're welcome.